Jeez Louise. I did one.
Yeah. As long as you're not specific.
Yeah, I do need to be relatively vague, obviously.
Yeah.
I did one recently down southern Iowa, and they had the entire floor removed in the main floor. It was a crawl space home, and they had the whole floor removed, so it's just floor joists going across. And I had to, as I just walked through the home, every step was on a floor joist. No carpet, no wood flooring, just floor joists. And then as I stepped on one of them, it broke out from underneath me. Thankfully, I caught myself, didn't fall down, and get hurt. And it was an absolute disaster of a subfloor. I mean, they had to tear it out because the floors were sloping probably that much. And yeah, it was pretty bad. I've had other ones where I did one about a year and a half ago where the home was owned by the U.S. Marshals. And it was all boarded up. It was middle of winter. I mean, it was like -10 that day, and there was no power. So there's no heat. There's no lights. So the entire inspection was, head to toe winter gear and flashlights and a headlamp, and very nervous about who's in that home because it was boarded up and the door was kicked in.
Yeah.
And so I texted the wife and I said, hey, if I don't make it out of this one,
I like
the cops, and bullet holes in the walls. So yeah, that was a fun one.
Do you ever do foreclosures?
Like inspecting for the bank?
Foreclosures in general.
Yeah, I mean, I've inspected homes that people were buying that were foreclosures. I've not inspected on the bank side of the foreclosure because I think they'll do inspections when they take possession of them. I just haven't done it yet. But I've inspected homes that someone was buying that was a foreclosure. Those can be, I haven't seen anything yet, but you hear stories about those where people pour, cement down the toilets, things like that. So.
Why would they do that?
They're angry that they lost their home.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they
not recommended. Don't do that. Bad idea.
So for the bank, so it's home inspectors that go and check the foreclosed properties, not appraisals?
I mean, like I said, I haven't done those for the bank, so I don't know. But I know of inspectors that have been hired by banks to go in and check the foreclosures.
Do you own your own house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that sounds stupid. Do you own your own house? Okay.
We rented the last house we lived in.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Is it easier for you now to come and say, when you bought your first property, do you have to disclose that you're a home inspector? No, that's not something you have to do.
In Iowa, no, because there's no oversight, no regulations. I don't know about other places. I'm sure there are some places you have to disclose.
So when you bought your house, did you spend 3 hours looking at everything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't do anything different than I did for anybody else's house. I mean, I treated it like a regular home inspection. I spent the same amount of time I did anywhere else. And I did a sewer scope like I did everywhere else. And, I found a lot of stuff like I do everywhere else. And it's a new construction home, too. It's brand new. And I still find a lot of stuff.
So I guess from your position, you get this report. And now you go to the seller and you're like, hey, look, this is what's wrong with the come down on the price. Is it easier to negotiate that way? Do you have a...
So in new construction, you don't really negotiate that way. You take a home inspection report, and we used a realtor, and so my realtor took the report and just gave it to him and said, hey, here's the things that we found, fix it, make it right. On a resale, where you're buying a used home, then you would be able to negotiate based on that, yeah. You would take that report and say, it needs a new roof, or it needs, maybe, let's say the foundation is broken and needs to be reinforced. Well, those are pretty expensive. Or let's say on the sewer scope, you find a cracked and maybe root-filled sewer line. So that needs to get fixed. Sewer repairs can be $15,000, $20,000. They add up very quickly. And so you would definitely want to use that as a negotiating tool and say, hey, you're going to have to come down on the price, or you're going to have to fix it before we buy it, or, whatever the case may be. But I don't get involved in the negotiations. That's not a home inspector's job.